What's going on, people? So, got some shoes to talk about today, right? But I always say that, and it's like, do people really not know that? Of course, you know that. You saw some sort of thumbnail, even if it's like the first one, or it's just this box. This box, I should show you the side without my address. Or if you see the one that happens later, where it's like the shoes, you know what you're getting into, right? So, I don't know. But it's just like the thing that I'm used to saying because it just kind of comes out. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, pull this knife out of my fancy cup. Remember this cup? Yeah, with my son on it. I don't know if you guys have ever seen him or whatever. Yeah, that's him right there. So let's go ahead and get this thing opened up and try to not be here all night, right? Though there's only like two pairs of shoes in here, so it should be pretty quick and painless. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's just arrived today. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing them for myself, right? Maybe you're also looking forward to seeing them, right? I don't know. But then what's going to happen is if you are looking forward to seeing them and you have me one of the two people watching this live, well, then you might see them and then be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to leave and do something else. Maybe go watch TNA. I think TNA comes on tonight because it is Thursday. And I feel like all the other wrestling is every other night of the week, right? And I feel like that's their night. So, right? Yeah, seems right. All right. So, as I said, there are two shoes in there, two pairs of shoes, four shoes altogether. But I'm going to start with this, because why not, right? So this is some kind of shirt that I bought, some kind of running shirt that I saw, and I thought, yeah, that's something to have, right? What is this? This is from the actibreeze line. So there you go. There's that. It looks very much like some of the other shirts that I have. It's just that on this one, because of like the different colors, you can actually see like the stitching pattern and whatever. So that's what's going on there. It's kind of just a green all around for the most part, and darker greens, right? So it's all green. It's just different shades, right? But I do like that. When I run, I tend to run mostly like with no shirt, but just in case, I like to have some running stuff. All right. So what do you want to see first? This box in my hands, great, because that's the one I'm working with. So on the side of the box, there you have that novablast 5, right? So the novablast 5 is one of ASIC's new-ish models, right? I say that because it's about a month old. I want to say they came out December 1st, right? Sometime in the first week of December, or the first 7 days, because for some reason I'm thinking it could have been the 7th, but I'm leaning towards the 1st. Either way, so let's go ahead and see what's going on in here. Now, I don't have the novablast 4. I did buy one, right? Yeah, I bought one for my aunt, but I don't have that because that's not mine, so I can't really do like an actual comparison. And also, I do have the 3, sure, but I can't really compare to that because, going from 3 to 5, it's a big enough jump that I wouldn't see a point to doing it, right? So just looking at these things, these are like very light. I do like that. So everything looks like it's fine, which is good. So now I can jump on into it. Though I guess now that I'm reminding myself of the FF Blast Max, I probably could have pulled over the Glide Ride Max, right? Just because it has the same foam, but whatever. We're just going to jump on into this. So we'll start with the bottom, right? Down there, across the bottom, same standard outsole that you see on a lot of things of this type of nature, right? So you got like the extra grip type stuff and all that good things going on down there. And then moving on past that, midsole wise, going to be that thick, chunky sort of thing that they're doing nowadays, right? But one of the upsides to it, at least on this one, to make it not look so like big and obnoxious, like these different lines that they have kind of like draw your eyes in different directions. Otherwise, when it was just like this big blob, it just looked a little much to me, right? And that's a personal thing, and I've said it a lot of times, but even though I don't really care for like that overall look, and I still don't like the big, thick, chunky midsoles on here, but the functionality of it I can't really argue with, so I just kind of leave it alone. But anyway, so past that, right, looking at the upper, the one thing that I heard that they changed, and when I say I heard this, I heard it from like the website, which means I didn't hear it, I read it on the ASICS website, that is. So they've got like a different mesh on here than they had on the 4. Otherwise, it's going to be overall a very similar look. So it's supposed to be lighter and more breathable. So you got that happening. And then on the side here, I don't know if that's not quite focusing, but there's also not a whole lot to focus on because of the way that the midsole, like the mid design is. It just kind of has that look to where it's like just a bunch of little lines anyways. And then on the back, what's going on down there? Huh? Just a little arrow thing for some reason. And nothing on there. It looks like it might be 3M, but sometimes they have like Novablast 5 or whatever written on the back. This time around, it's just plain. So we're going to jump back over to the front here, laces wise. They're just plain, nothing fancy, no colors on the tips, all teal throughout, right? Standard flat stuff. And then what does this say? This just says Novablast 5 down in the tongue. So you kind of see that. You can't see all the letters, but you just take my word for it. That's what it says, right? And that, I think it was the Paris Cayano 31, right? That had the same design. You know, as far as like on the tongue, having this little piece of whatever here, this little strip. So anyways, there's that. And then the tongue behind it, it's going to be very much like what I've seen on a lot of the other ones. Well, the Novablast 3 and 4. So it's going to be like a very thin sort of piece up here, right? It kind of feels like nylon or some neoprene type of material. But there's going to be that. And then on the inside, plain, right? So the other thing, like I was kind of saying, the biggest change here being that these are going to be, they're supposed to be lighter than the 4 was. I can't really say for myself, but I could see that because these are very light. But the FF Blast Max that they have in here, it's one of their newer foams, so it's supposed to be a lot more responsive, right? And I did test out a pair of these, the Novablast 5s, a couple of weeks ago when the ASICS guy was down here and then there was like this whole demo thing going on, right? And they felt pretty good, right? I had no complaints about them. I have my own takes on how things feel under my foot and how I want them to feel, because these have always felt a little bit bouncy. But the 5, the Novablast that is, but the 5 didn't seem to have that same feeling. But I'm curious how I'm going to feel when I actually like spend some actual time with these, because the Glide Ride Max, the foam on there, while comfortable, when you start going a little faster, it feels a little too squishy. So if you're like sprinting, then it feels unsafe almost, right? That's what I said in my Glide Ride Max follow-up review or whatever. So since this is going to be the Flight Foam Blast Max throughout the whole midsole, whereas that was just on the upper layer, I think it was just, it was just on the upper layer because it was a dual layer midsole, two layers with a plate in the middle. Since this is the whole thing, I don't know if that's going to make it better or worse, right? So I'll have to get that figured out. But one thing I also need to figure out is like the sizing and everything, because I'm pretty sure that these were a true to size fit, and I don't remember anything going wrong with them when I tried them out. But just to make sure I'm telling you guys the right thing, because obviously I'll do the full review at some point, but I need to check that right now, which is a good thing for doing these like as it is right now, so that way I can talk about it, give you all the information, so you don't really have to wait too much for like the actual review, because then all you're really getting is to see them on the feet, but you can at least have the information now. And so yeah, it is a true to size fit, right? It feels roomy enough to where you got some wiggle room in there. I want to say the Novablast, the Nimbus, and the Cayanos all have wide versions. So if you're like a wide-footed person, I would suggest just looking up the wide version, just doing that instead of buying a standard version and going up a half size or whatever. You might be able to go true to size on a wide version. I don't really know, honestly, because I don't have to deal with that, but that's just how it makes sense to me in my head, right? But anyway, so yeah, these are feeling pretty all right. No complaints, right? It's a little loose in some ways, a little roomy in some ways, but not enough to the point where I would say like go down or anything. Just one of those things I noticed. But I've been wearing a lot of Ultra Boost the last couple days, and that kind of throws your feelings off just a little bit. But all in all, feeling pretty good. So I'm thinking this is going to work out all right. But the thing is, like I said before, I've never really been like a big Novablast guy. I have a couple pair just because it's good to, talk about, share my opinions. It's part of this whole review channel thing, right? So sometimes you got to find that happy medium between things that you want and things that are worth talking about, right? And given that I'm a big ASICS guy, I figured that is a thing worth talking about, even though I don't really want them. Though I will say this, when the ASICS guy was down here, he was like, "Hey man, did you order a pair yet? Because like they have this teal one. I know you'd want those." And because he was talking about these, And I'm like, I haven't, but I've seen those, and they will be here soon enough, right? Because I don't know if I had made the order at that point or not. I think I was waiting on something else to come out, maybe. Because I like to order a bunch of stuff all at once. It's just easier. So yeah, that's the novablast 5. Up next, something new, the gel-kinetic fluent, right? Now, I don't know what is going on with this thing here. I just saw it. This feels heavy. So already not liking that. But like I said, I'm a big Asics guy, but for the most part, all I get is their running shoes, right? So, and Happy New Year to you too. Thanks. And is it a Happy New Year? I mean, I guess I shouldn't just assume that. Mine is going fine, right? I've got no complaints. I did a 5K yesterday. It didn't go great, honestly, but it was fine. And then I came home, took a nap, and I guess that was it. And then today, mostly doing some errands. So I guess so far the new year is doing okay by me, right? It's all right. What about yourself? And just so people know who I'm talking to or whatever, in case you're curious, put that on the screen. So here's this, right? This is the gel-kinetic fluent, right? Now, like I was saying, I'm a big Asics guy, but normally I just buy the running shoes because that's kind of just good enough for me, right? Because oftentimes they can double as just walking around casual wear type things, especially if you get like something that's good for like, the weather, right? I do still need to get some utility pairs or Gore-Texes or something for the rain, but I'm just saying, I haven't really gone too deep past the Gel Light 3s, of course, into their standard as casual wear, walking shoes, whatever you want to call these. But I saw this and I thought, well, okay, I don't get it, but sure, whatever, dude. So here we are, looking at these. We're going to start this thing with the bottom. Down there, what are you looking at? That kind of reminds me of, I think, was it the Gel NYC that had sort of a blocky sort of back like this? Right, that's the last thing that I talked about. Well, the NYC 2055 also, right? Either way, kind of like that older look going on down there. And I do remember, what is it, the Saucony Pro Grid Triumph 4 had a similar layout to this. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe that could be it. Either way, moving along. Looking at the upper, well, actually, no, it's midsole first. I'm jumping ahead, people. So, midsole wise, right? So you got a bunch of gel going on in the back. I forget which foam this is. It might be the Flight Foam Blast Plus, maybe. And it isn't labeled anywhere that I'm seeing. Yeah, Flight Foam Blast Plus. So I was actually right on that. You can barely even see that. So yeah, it's kind of like one of those splits, right? So you got the gel in the back, nice visible gel, which is a cool thing. And then you got the foam in the front. So pretty cool. And this is the same foam that they were using in the last bunch of other Asics running shoes that I've talked about. Now onto this here midsole, right? Excuse me, this upper. You got a lot of mesh going on all throughout this thing, right? And there's a lot of, this feels like some sort of patent leather type of thing going on right around the toe box. And this plasticky type piece right in here kind of has like an iridescent look now that I'm seeing this in the reflection here. And a lot of this where the actual Asics logo is, a lot of that just feels like fake leather, right? You know, that material that they just throw on there. And then as you get onto the back, it's a lot more of the same sort of thing, right? You got this going on down here. Almost reminds me of like how the carbon fiber looks on the bottom of, what did I have the other day? Some 11s? Yeah, 11s. Foam posits? One of them, maybe both of them. So either way, moving on to the back, you got, what's that, kinetic fluent at the top, gel written across the bottom piece, right? Mid-side or whatever, inside of that's kind of what it's looking like, basically the same thing. And then as far as the laces go, those might be some 3M strips in there, or 3M little spots. I'm not quite sure just yet. But either way, so that's it. And then behind that, it looks like it's a very soft mesh sort of tongue. And then as you get to the top, up there you have more of that like plasticky feeling type material, right? All around here. So one thing you're probably seeing and noticing, like I said before, that this thing feels heavy. And I'm going to attribute a lot of that to just the choice of materials. Because the mesh, even the mesh feels like it's a little thick, right? But this extra like patent leather type stuff and this fake leather here and all this and whatever that is on the back, yeah, it's a lot of heavy material, so it's kind of making sense to why this shoe feels the way it feels. And then on the inside, there is nothing on the inside of this thing. And I feel like that's kind of weird. And yeah, both of them are just straight black in there, which is weird to me. Because usually you have at least like the Asics logo, like the last ones did. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how these feel in a second here, though. But all in all, it's looking pretty decent. I do like this color, right? It's pretty dark and kind of drab in some ways, I guess you could say. But I like the little almost kind of purplish sort of look that it has. And it's looking brighter in the screen than it is in hand right now, but these lights are kind of making that happen. So there is that piece of it. But all in all, I don't have any complaints about how these are looking right now. So I'm going to put these on real quick, see how that works out. And then at some point later, I'll have to walk around in them, see what the comfort is feeling like. But so far, the experience is like okay, right? They do seem like there's a little bit extra room in the front, like from front to back, not so much from side to side. But that's I'm not gonna stand by that right now. It's just kind of like an initial impression sort of thing, you know. But yeah, it is kind of you can kind of feel it in a way. Like it is sort of a narrow sort of build here. It's like down around where like your small toe would be on the side. Yeah, that could be a problem. And given that this isn't one of like their more flagship type models or whatever, they only have it in this style, right? They don't have a wide version. They just have this one. And this is also a unisex shoe, I believe, right? Yeah, it's a unisex shoe anyway. So the sizing is going to be a little weird for some. So long story short, where I'm going with that, if you need wider shoes, you're not going to find a wide version of this. You're probably just going to want to get a bigger shoe in general. But yeah, you do have not as much room on the side, but for some reason it kind of feels like there's a bit more room like front to back, right? So that part doesn't feel so bad. And to me, I'm just saying like in general, but for me, this true to size thing is feeling just fine for me. I'm just saying there's not a whole lot of room, but it's enough, at least in my opinion. But yeah, so I can't really say what the comfort is going to feel like, and I do need to tighten these up a little bit because they come a little bit loose. So up here in this part of the shoe, they are feeling pretty open, and so it's almost like you can feel your heel slipping in and out, and I'm not even walking around in these yet. So I'm going to have to tighten these down just a little bit. But given that these do have like some nice foam in the front, this way, some nice foam in the front and the gel in the back, I feel like this is going to be pretty nice for just kind of walking around and stuff. Though, to be, clear and all that stuff for you guys, I'm never really going to know, right? Because I'm going to wear these like a day, and that's going to be, unless I like decide to keep them out by the door or something that's just like regular shoes that I wear, I have a rotation that usually means I don't get around to a lot of stuff often. So I'll wear these a couple times. I'll try to like make that a habit just so I can, talk about them later, maybe give some kind of follow-up or something. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyways, I'm thinking that it'll be all right. Will it be worth, I think these were like 170, 180 or something like that. That's a tall order right there, honestly. And I'm not feeling super confident to say yes. I do like what these are doing, but again, like that's a lot of money. For that price, you could go and buy a pair of Kayanos or something, or mostly any other running shoe. Though, to be fair, not every running shoe is great for walking. I'm just saying the Kayanos, I'll vouch for those as like being good for both sides, right? But they are stability shoes, so that's so they're in their own little world for that. But yeah, the gel-kinetic fluent, ladies and gentlemen, check it out. It's somewhere at a store near you, perhaps. Actually, probably not. I would honestly be very surprised if people were seeing these in stores. But that's just because like my stores around here, they do carry asics things, but I don't see anything like this in there, right? And the ones that I do see, like asics wise, are at running specific stores and Dick's Sporting Goods, of course, because like obviously that's not a running shoe store, but it is a sports goods store, and they happen to do a lot better for running wear than your average like Foot Lockers and Finish Lines, right? But if you go to like Running Etc., Fleet Feet, or Point Two or whatever, those are straight up running shoe stores, right? And those are really the only places where I ever see Asics. But the Gel NYC, those did make their way into the local, what's that yellow one? Can't think of the name of it. YCMC maybe? I don't know. So anyways, quick recap, and hello to you too there, Mr. Homegrown Kicks. I'll put you on the screen now. So now that's to recap, now that this is all said and done, and I can move on, then I can move on with my day. So let's knock this thing out real quick. Led with this right here, the Asics Novablast 5 in some sort of teal type of color, right? Lots of improvements made over the 4 that I will never really understand for myself because I didn't have the 4. I just jumped right to the 5 from the 3. But I do like the idea of the Flight Foam Blast Max being in there, though how the Glide Ride Max played out for me makes me question just how much I'm actually going to like running in these. But, and I'm saying that like speed-wise, like casual run, just like slow and steady, yeah, I don't see that being a problem. Moving on to these right here, the Asics gel-kinetic fluent, right? One of their newer models as well. I think this came out just before those novablast 5s did. So not really made for running so much, I don't believe, because this thing is freaking heavy and it just doesn't have a look that would make me think it's a running shoe. Seems like it's just something to walk around in, kind of like an Air Max 1 or whatever, you know. So there's that. Pretty nice, but I'm telling you, man, they have a price tag that I'm not sure I'm on board with right now. So we'll see. But stay tuned for some sort of actual review to happen on both of these. When exactly? I don't know. I am pretty much caught up on all the well, there is no backlog right now. I just got these in today. So I'm thinking and hoping and possibly almost even sure that I'll get these started over this weekend. Maybe Sunday. I'm a big record on Sunday morning kind of guy because I don't know. That's just like the day that I usually do my recordings. It just works that way. So I'll probably do that and then let them hopefully trickle out over the next couple days. So if all goes according to plan, right? And until I find something better to do, right? Which could happen at any point. Maybe Thursday, right? It doesn't take long to get these things knocked out, right? I'm decent at it. I've done all my videos the same way at this point. It's kind of a muscle memory sort of thing, right? So I just sit there and just blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, it's done. You just got to want to do it. That's the tricky part, people. So yeah, maybe Thursday, at least for one of them. And then, you know, probably like a day or two later for the next one, even though they'll likely all be done at the same time. And I got a Roosevelt's video to finish up now that I got my new shirt in the mail. So that's what's going on for me. I'm going to start closing this video out real quick, right? So here's the thing. This is the point where if you have something you want to say to me, something you want to ask about, or something you feel like you just want to share with me for some reason, this is your window to do that, right? Because after this, and I say my normal thing, I'm leaving. So here's that. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever is wherever you are. I already told you what I have coming up next, right? Not a whole lot to look forward to be completely honest. Oh, and some Transformers cards that I got in the mail the other day. So I'm looking forward to that, like a lot, actually. So that's probably going to be the first actual video that I put up because I want to see what's in that box. So yeah, there we go. And I don't believe I see anything in the chat, which is, don't take this the wrong way, fantastic, because I do kind of want to move on with my day and stop staring at myself on the screen. So thanks for showing up. Definitely appreciate it. But for right now, I'm leaving. We'll probably cross paths at some other point, though. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Later, people.